Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Father-Son Packers podcast, your source for Packers news, notes, and analysis. My name's Tommy, and I'm one of your hosts, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, my dad, Matt. Dad, how are you doing?
Doing good. I managed to finish drinking that water, so I didn't have to do a spit take during the recording. So
you always start drinking
so
just
far,
as I'm doing the lead-in when we had.
I feel like the cough. I was like,
ton of time
we're starting
to
to talk. It's like, oh, we should get started now. Like 30 seconds before we start, it's like all of a sudden, I was like desperate urge to cough.
Whatchamacallit? Well, anyway, we are here today. Super Bowl weekend. So apologies for the slight delay, some scheduling stuff. But we are here
It's still this week.
It is still this week. We are here to talk about the Brian Gutekunst presser from this past week. And then more importantly, we're going to start talking about prospects because this is my favorite time of the year, which is draft season, is really upon us now. We're starting up.
Depends on the season.
I know we have like a few. That's very fair. Some years it's really my favorite part of the season. But we are here to talk about the Senior Bowl because, as we all know, the Packers are, very, very prone to taking players from the Senior Bowl, whether it's last year, Anthony Belton, Jaden Reed previously, Jordan Love was at the Senior Bowl, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Zach Tom. I mean, you just go down the list.
Tucker Kraft
was a Senior Bowl. Luke Musgrave was a Senior Bowl. I mean, you just go down and down. Like, the Packers love taking players from the Senior Bowl. And so we're going to talk about some of the players that we felt stood out in the Senior Bowl practices. We went back and watched all the O-line, D-line 1v1s that we could. You took the American team. I took the national team. And then we also watched the wide receivers and tight ends versus the defensive backs as well. So we went through all of those, talked about all that stuff. And we're also going to talk about, like I said, what Brian Gutekunst had to say. I guess we will start off with just a quick pitch, though. If you like what you hear today, subscribe, whether that's, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Follow us on Blue Sky at Father Son Packer for updates on when new episodes are out, new Packers-related news. And speaking of news, we do have a couple of things to touch on before we start talking about that Brian Gutekunst presser, because we have some coaching staff news. Specifically, a couple of things. Nathaniel Hackett, who we thought might have a chance at the quarterback's coach job, is actually going to Arizona to be the OC after first being announced to be the quarterback coach in Miami. So he's kind of moving on up in the world, I guess.
They didn't even get him. I don't know if they ever got him in the door in Miami to be the quarterback's coach.
Yeah, he was very, very briefly going to be the quarterback's coach in Miami. And that was actually news to me when I just first saw that. And so that's
my first reaction was, did I remember this wrong?
I was like, wasn't he supposed to go to Miami? But anyway, so just kind of excited for him, but also a couple other other coaches lost from the offensive staff. Receivers coach Ryan Mahaffey is going with Sean Mannion to Philadelphia per Ian Rappaport. But we do already have a hiring for that spot, for the receivers coach spot. So the Packers are apparently hiring Noah Pauley from Penn State to replace him, per Matt Zenitz of CBS Sports. He has previously been with the Packers in 2022 on a coaching fellowship. Was Christian Watson's receivers coach at North Dakota State, so some familiarity in that room, and coached receivers such as Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, who are both, in the NFL on the Texans at Iowa State before going to Penn State. So he has some experience developing guys, experience with guys in the room. Seems like a really good hire. So that's exciting there. And then another hire for the Packers. The Packers are also hiring San Francisco 49ers, their former defensive backs coach this last year, Daniel Bullocks, also per Matt Zenitz of CBS Sports. It is unclear what role he is going to have, but he's been the defensive backs coach and passing game coordinator with San Francisco the last 2 years. So some hires there, Dad. Any thoughts on any of those?
Yeah, I have heard a lot of people really excited about the Pauley hire.
Mm-hmm.
They think he's got a bright future. So,
I mean, experience. I mean, Higgins and Noel both look good in their rookie years. Iowa State's been putting out receivers for a number of years. I mean, I personally, I know some people had problems with Mahaffey, and I did his first year as a, receivers coach last year. Was like, well, everyone's dropping the ball and you have a new receivers coach. Let's put 2 and 2 together. But this past year, I was saying, I felt like every receiver had moments or had their best year of their career. I felt like, at least.
Watson was really good. Dobbs was really good. Wicks didn't do that much.
Wicks was hurt. But you could also argue Wicks had the best.
Missed a huge ton of the year.
Yeah, but I was going to say Wicks, you could argue, had the best game of his career against the Lions on Thanksgiving.
He had their only 100-yard game of the season, of the regular season?
No, Watson had one against the Ravens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But, okay. That's why I think I heard that before the Ravens game.
But whatchamacallit? So I thought that Mahaffey was doing a good job. Hopefully Pauley can also do a good job coming in, because there are a lot of young receivers in that room who could use some more development. And bringing in, I'm guessing we just don't know what Bullock's role is going to be. But with Downard going with, Halfley of Miami, who had been our defensive backs coach previously, but the thing is, we already have Babich as the defensive passing game coordinator, so it's just unclear. I guess we will tell you when we know what his job is going to be. Let's move on though to talking about the Brian Gutekunst presser. There's a couple, interesting tidbits from it. We can kind of bounce around here and talk about this briefly, but what was the thing that stood out to you the most from this presser, like when you listened to it? Okay,
but before we talk about it, I just want to throw in this little disclaimer. Just remember all the compliments that were thrown out on long-term plans by Gutekunst for like Aaron Jones and how much they love Josh Myers and then players who aren't here.
It's true. Yeah,
and
this is
true. Players who are let go when they're under contract. So one of the things Gutekunst says, like, we expect all the players under contract to be on the team this year. It's like, well, we know that's not true because you've not done that in the past.
That's one of those things you have to say though. Like I like, yeah, that's
the other thing is like you don't want to call out a player if he's going to be on the team or if you're going to trade him.
It's true. You don't want to like just tank a player's trade value. Like,
So people say like the GMs lie. I like to think of it more as poker. Everybody's bluffing. They're always trying to, about how good their hand is.
Yeah. So I guess let's start talking, just kind of, I guess, chronologically with what he talked about. Let's talk about the special teams first. It very much sounds like Bisaccia is going to be back for some reason.
Sounds like that's one thing I did think he was lying about. That's a guarantee.
And he was like, "Oh, we think Rich is doing a really good job." And what was it? They talked about. They thought McManus was doing a really good because. So I guess we'll just lump all this together in terms of the special teams. But essentially, the takeaway on the special teams was they think Rich is doing a really good job, which, okay, if you say so. And they, feel like they've invested a lot more in the special teams than they did under Ted Thompson, especially the last 4 years. And then they are, not opposed to having competition at the kicker spot with McManus, but it was like, oh, we have competition at every spot. Like that's not about and what was it? He was like, oh, McManus made 32 kicks like straight at the end of the regular season. So we definitely didn't see that game against Chicago coming. I'm like, yeah, he made like no kicks over like 40 yards. Like, so like, I don't really know like what the takeaway is there.
I pulled up the numbers, like, the average, the league percentage over 40 is like 78%. McManus was like 42%.
Yeah, I mean, he had a terrible year. Like, so, like you can say he made 30 whatever kicks in a row. Like, I had zero confidence in McManus going into that game, and I would be surprised if they did. I think that's just one of those things that you say. But it sounds like status quo on special teams, Dad. It sounds like status quo, which is really frustrating, but it is what it is, I suppose.
I wish they had added actual dedicated returner.
I don't care about that. Doesn't matter to me.
But so apparently the Packers don't either. Because here are the things, and what a lot of people say is like they care about kick coverage,
punt coverage, and field goal team.
Kicking.
And that's what they care about. But the thing, they're like kind of good at that stuff, but not when it matters. Like that's the problem. Like
so that's the thing. But then you run into small samples. But yeah, I was looking actually. Okay, he said this that they're getting better. So, and obviously he's only going to care about things he cares about. So I looked at like a rolling 3-year average of DVOA scores for, field goal extra points, kick rank, which I think is including the kicking and the coverage, kick return rank, punting rank, and punt return rank. So punt returns, yeah, it's always over 25 rank in the league out of 32. So they don't care.
If you told me you had a guy back there who was going to fair catch it and catch it every time, I'd be like, okay, that's fine.
We've had many years where we wish they would do that.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that's why I don't really care about punt return. And people are like, oh, they haven't invested in kick return. Well, I think the Savion Williams pick was in large part a kick return pick. And he was doing pretty well at kick return like stuff before he got hurt. So like that's like I people like complain about that. I'm like, look, they had Keyshawn Nixon who was an all-pro kick returner, and you could argue like, hey, they probably should have put him on kick return more. But also, I understand the logic of, hey, you want fewer snaps for your corner one. Like I see the arguments on both sides of that. But then Savion Williams
Hafley might have been like, we don't want our number one corner.
Look at the corner. Look at the corner depth, and we'll talk about what Brian Gutekunst had to say about corner like later. But like I understand why you wouldn't want to have him out there. And then I thought Savion Williams was a good kick returner, so I actually honestly thought kick return was fine. It's just sometimes
it moved up. Where did it change? This with but it actually got up to we have like the three averages skewed a little bit a few years ago by how good Keyshawn was, where they're number one in the league.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing.
But they're 14th rolling averages last year, and 2020, 21, and 22, they were in the 20s. So that actually has gotten better.
It's gotten better. But that's like kind of like a testament to how bad it was. Like, like the goal should not be just be better than Menenga and Drayton. Like that should not be like, okay, we're good now. Like
I looked at those, like they were like rock bottom and like everything, and like in 2021 is like, oh man, like, you can see like everything that they're bad at every single aspect.
Is it too much to ask for the special teams just to not lose us games? Like, is that really because like Browns game lost because of special teams, game against the Bears lost because of special teams, game against the Bears again lost because of special teams. Like 3 games, if you're losing 3 games a year because of special teams,
tied because of special teams.
Cowboys tied because of special. Are we really going to be like, hey, we're going to lose 3 games a year to special teams, 4 games a year to special teams, and that's okay? Like, why is that? Why is that the bar? Like, I understand, because that's the thing. We have invested in special teams. We're paying a kicker a good amount of money. We're paying a long snapper a good amount of money. We've signed all these guys, whether it's Keyshawn Nixon when he first came was a special teams only player. You're bringing in Christian Welch. You're having Aaron Mosby on the active like roster on game days. You're bringing in Nick Neiman. You're bringing in Zane Anderson. You're bringing in a Robert Rochelle. You're bringing in a Rudy Ford. Like, you're bringing in a lot of special teams only players, and the results are not good, and the special teams just looks poorly coached. Like, that just is what it is to me. Like, that game against the Browns where no one knows how to block a field goal. Like, it's like we're a month into the season, guys. We can't block the wrong
guys out there to block the field goal too.
Well, and then the extra points. How many? This happened like 4 or 5 times. We have 10 guys on the field on extra point block.
Defending one.
Yeah, we have 10 guys on the field. We can't even get 11 guys on the field.
So if the guy misses, he's going to get another chance.
No. He wouldn't get an extra chance for 10 guys on the field. That's not the issue. Yeah. No, the issue is just we don't have 11. We can't even get 11 whole guys on the field.
Has it always been 10? Do we not send out 12?
Yes, we haven't sent 12. We haven't sent 12. But we sometimes jump off sides. We do that often. But that's the thing is, like, I just think the special teams is terribly coached, and Bisaccia should have been fired this offseason because the thing is, it's never one thing. It's, oh, we don't know how to block the field goal. Oh, the kicker situation is a mess. Oh, we don't know how to field an onside kick. Oh, like, we're giving up 20-yard punt returns. It's a different thing. It's whack-a-mole every single week. And so, like,
We've got gutters all running in the same lane, leaving side of the field wide open.
Yeah, like, it's like I just don't understand. And people are like, oh, he didn't have his like starting gunners for the game, like Bo Melton was out and St. Anderson. It's like, yeah, that's your job, is to coach the next guys up. That's your job. That's what the money is for, as the Madman quote said. That's what the money is for. But Bisaccia is back. They like whatever he's doing on special teams, I guess. McManus is probably going to be the kicker again next year, and definition of insanity there, in my opinion. You're just trying the same thing and expecting something, a different result. I don't know why.
I guess what the answer is, it's still not good enough. But he's not incorrect by saying it has
gotten better. It has gotten better, but that's more of a testament to how bad it was. Like, it was so bad that losing 3 games is like slightly better.
The things that they care about, we're at like the midpoint of the league.
Well, I think to me it's like the down to down is like fine, but there are still like catastrophic moments that can't happen. But like the down to down is like so much better than it was. Like, it was before. It was a lot of like below average and bad, and then catastrophic moments. And now it's a lot of like above average and then catastrophic moments. So like it feels better, but like it's still terrible. Like, you can't have those moments. You can't just lose 4 games because of special teams. I mean, I'm like, that can't happen. But anyway, other things that Brian Gutekunst had to mention in this presser, he talked about Banks and Hobbs, talking about, it kind of seemed like Banks is coming back. Hobbs a bit more of a question mark. Talked about, Hobbs injuries, like really like kind of, wailing. He talked about kind of wailing the season. And then he talked about Banks, he felt like once he got healthy halfway through the year that he played some good football, which he had some good games and he had some really bad games. So like, it's still not worth the contract.
I still look like, if you look at the average of his like last 6 weeks, it's still not great.
It's like slightly above average it's like slightly above average with like 2 really bad games too. So it's like,
And he talked about how Gary started out strong.
Yeah,
whatever, 7.5 sacks.
He did. He started strong. And a lot of it was kind of feasting off of.
I don't know. You said like, and then he fell off a cliff.
Well, he said, was it the second half of the year? We're going to take a look at that. He's going to take a look at that. I just don't think they can't bring him back on that number. We did get some good news though. Zach Tom, they said the injury that he has to that patellar tendon, the partial tear, they don't think it's going to affect his 2026. So that's,
right. So he should be ready in time. I think I've heard that is expected to be like 6 months.
I guess we'll see. That's like one of those just hard to know.
But it's very important that it was not a complete tear.
Yeah.
That is in what I've been able to read, that's a huge difference in recovery.
Yeah. And then there was the talk about, they've like reached out to start some discussions with Kraft about a contract extension, but I think that's probably still some time off. Then the other things were, talking about how the thing I will say that I was like, thank goodness, he was like, the offensive line needs to be way better. And I was like, yes, that is the number one problem. Is the offensive line needs to be so much better because it was it was just bad. Like for large stretches of the year.
It seemed like on the decision making.
Yeah. Cause we talked about this. It's like, hey, like Anthony Belton becomes a guard, halfway through the year. And it's like, he got 0 reps there the entire, like you're moving Morgan to 4 spots and like you're playing Anthony Belton at 1 spot, like at least get him some reps at guard. So like, and then he has to play guard midway through the year. And it's like, well, he's like looks okay, but he's struggling a lot because he's never played guard before. And he got no reps there in the offseason, but it did seem like Gutekunst was like, we need to, what was it? I think there was a quote like, we need to make sure we're putting our players in the like spots they can succeed. And I was like, oh yeah, I wonder who he's talking about. Like,
and he did say like, he expects Morgan to get a lot of opportunity at left tackle.
There was also the quote about like they asked him about the offensive line. He's like, yeah, we had a lot of moving parts there. Young players moving spots, players in contract years. And I was like, players in contract years.
Yeah, that was an interesting
wonder who he's talking about. Do you think that is because that'd be one of 3 people. It could be Elton, it could be Rashid, or it could be Ryan. I think Ryan played well enough where it's probably not Ryan, but it's one of Elton or Rashid that he's like kind of subtweeting there a little bit.
Yeah, though Elton wasn't technically in a contract year.
He thought he was.
He's in a contract that wasn't going to be.
He was for all intents and purposes.
It was going to be on this coming year.
Yeah, he was pretty much in a contract year. But I thought that was kind of an interesting, like, I wonder what he's talking about there. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's like, are you guys not? Yeah,
but it does seem
accusing them of.
But it does seem like the offensive line is going to be a focus, and it does seem like Aaron Banks is probably coming back.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll restructure somehow because he's owed a lot of money this year. And I was looking at so here's what I look at for his contract. Forget about 1 year, how much you save. If they let him go, it frees up a 3-year, $45 million contract. Can you sign another offensive lineman who's better than him for that much money?
It's so tough because guards are going for so much money on the open market right now.
Yeah, but he was
he was not good.
I'm looking at who's out there. There are players who are expected to get half that who played better than he did last year. Some of them are older. I've looked at some like Schlottman, who played center for the Giants. He was like the number 3 center.
I also think it's like, you know what kind of annoys me about the Banks thing also? Every other player is getting put at like 3 different spots, 4 different spots. And then Aaron Banks doesn't even switch. Like, he only plays on the left guard. He doesn't play. He never even played a snap at right guard. Like, not even a practice snap at right guard. He is exclusively left guard. Which I'm like, you're making Jordan Morgan play 4 spots, and Aaron Banks can't even play both guard spots. Like why? Why is that? Why is he the only guy who never has to move? But I don't know. So it's like because he talks. Gutekunst talked about like, oh no, we need our offensive linemen to be flexible. Like, we need them to be able to play multiple spots. I was like, why does Aaron Banks have to play multiple spots? He's the only guy. He's sticking in left guard.
I did a little bit this last month.
What?
Dollars per blocking scores and grades.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be
offensive line position.
It's not good. It's not great.
Banks is like bottom 2 or 3 guard. Ryan was the worst center.
Really? I'm surprised he was making enough money for that to even matter. But I will say, I think I don't hate bringing Banks back because, like,
gotta have somebody. I'm hoping
you're already losing what?
Definitely losing Walker,
losing 2 starters,
and probably losing Elton.
You're and probably losing Ryan.
Maybe,
but you're probably losing 2 starters on the offensive line. So it's like, can you what? And the depth is not amazing. And Kennard's probably leaving too, right? They're probably not bringing Kennard back.
He probably won't cost much. They might not bring him back.
I mean, he wasn't particularly good. I still can't believe we threw a screen pass to Kennard in a playoff game, man. What the hell were we doing? What on earth was that play call?
That was definitely Yakety Sacks.
That was crazy. And of course he fumbled it.
He's like
why
down the field.
Why are we surprised that he fumbled the ball?
He is fighting for yardage, swinging that ball out there.
No, more power to him for because he before he fumbled, he was actually doing pretty well. Like with the ball,
wasn't great. Then, I watched his plays like. This is brilliant.
But then when he fumbled, it was like, of course he fumbled. What did you expect to happen? He's an offensive lineman.
And then, it was just a comedy of errors that we ended up getting that ball back.
I mean, that was also just.
And then at the end, I think Dobbs was smart enough to smack it out of bounds after.
It was a testament
after two different Bears missed it.
It was a testament to how down horrendous the tight end position was that we were running screens to Darian Kennard. That was insane. But anyway, sorry, we're getting a little off topic.
Starting tight end.
Yeah,
starting tight end. Darian Kennard.
There was other thing. It called Jacobs a really important player. You know, they asked him about him having a lot of tread on the tires. He did say the same thing about Aaron Jones.
I think, I know it's just very similar. But he said, we think he's got a lot of yardage left in him, or something like that.
Yeah.
The other thing he did is he basically called out the team for finishing poorly, both in the ends of games and at the end of season.
He brought up the losing 5 straight to end the season multiple times. I was like, you're not wrong. They did. And we did lose 5 straight to end the year. And even
3-9 over in December and January over the last 2 years.
Well, that was the other thing where he was talking about even at 9-3-1, he didn't feel like the team was playing particularly well going into that Denver game. He thought they had moments, but they still weren't playing particularly well in his opinion.
Right. Yeah, I take that. If you have that feeling,
my question is why are you running? Why is everything the same then? Why are we not making any changes?
Yeah, but you hear that, and if you're there in the moment, it's like, oh, we're 9-3-1, and we're not even playing our best football yet. We got a lot of room to improve, and you could feel that way and be optimistic.
I don't know. I think the running it back on special teams was frustrating. Oh, and then the corner comments where he was like, "Oh, we thought Valentine and Nixon played really well. I think it was really, really well." And he was especially complimentary of Keyshawn Nixon, who
third in the league in
pass
PBUs,
breakups, and also
something like that.
Just kind of freestyling on blowing coverages, which less good. But no, he was very complimentary of the corners, and the only thing he had to say was he didn't think they had a good enough depth at corner.
Well, that's certainly true.
That was definitely, I was going to say, 100% true. You did not have good enough depth at corner.
Yeah,
you had to pay Trevon Diggs $500,000 for 10 snaps or whatever because you didn't have good enough depth.
Should have played him more.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I saw him out there early. It's like, oh, they're playing him early. And then he's like 15 yards off, and they get a first down.
The one snap, and then that was the only snap he
played.
Nope,
he's not getting back in there after that run after catch for first down.
Well, what was I going to say? I think that because you know how I feel about the corner spot. I think that corner is not a position that is worth investing in due to the volatility of corner year to year. Like you could have a great year and then a bad year. It's a very volatile position. Yeah, like even just within an individual, like even game to game sometimes. And then teams play so much zone that you can kind of cover for them with your safeties, and there's not that much man-to-man being played right now. And so I feel like, to me, in order, fix the offensive line, fix the defensive line, and then we can talk about corner. Because I think the O-line and the D-line are just, like, the thing is, we saw the corners were good enough when you had a good pass rush. They were good enough. And then the pass rush disappeared, and the corners were bad. So it's like, I would rather, if you had those three, O-line, D-line, corner, I'd rather, and you could only fix two, I'm fixing O-line and D-line first. That's just my opinion.
Most of my mock drafts, I'm picking a D-line first. Though now, what's his name?
Yeah, I mean, we're well into this. We haven't even started talking about prospects yet. We should probably get moving.
So the who I was picking in the second round all the time, but now he did so well.
Moving on up.
He's moving up. He's getting out of range.
Yeah. Anything else?
The Texas Tech.
Lee Hunter.
Lee Hunter.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah. I think anything else from the Gutekunst presser that stood out to you? I mean, he did seem very he seemed kind of angry. Like he seemed a little very frustrated with how the team played at the end of the season. And
he also said that he thought the team had the ability to make moves.
Yeah, to make a run. To make moves
if they needed to.
If they need to, which they do need to.
Yeah, so they have the potential.
Yeah.
They're like whatever, 4 million, 5 million underwater right now, but
I mean there'll be a lot of contract moves coming up, yeah.
There are a lot, and even the expected cuts.
Yeah.
And restructure, it would be very easy for them to open up $20 million.
Well, what was I going to say? He did talk about, like, they asked him, like, do you feel like you need to add more veterans? He's like, no, I think we're fine. Like, they asked him, like, do you think the lack of veterans is part of the reason you guys couldn't close games? Because he talked about, like, I didn't think we closed games well enough. And I was like, yeah, well, we did blow a lot of games. So that's very fair. Because you look back, it's like, you really blew the Browns game. You blew both Bears games. You blew, well, let's see.
And almost blew the third Bears game.
Well, that's what I was saying. You blew, I see, the first one. Yes,
the one we won. We almost blew that one, too.
Almost blew that one. Blew the Cowboys game. Yeah, in some ways. Yeah, I mean that he's not wrong. We struggle. I mean, you could argue blew the Broncos game. Like, you had the lead in the second half and you ended up losing that game. But I mean, there are extenuating circumstances there. But that's definitely, I think you could make that argument. What's McCall? But I see what he's saying, and I do think. Do you think there's, like, I mean, to me, the fix to why we were blowing games is the offensive line could not block, and so we couldn't run the ball.
We can't
and
run the
so ball. Like that was like a big part of that. And then the defense was really poor at the end of games, honestly. And so that was something.
Question for you.
Okay.
We can't run the ball.
Yep, haven't been able to
for
a while.
Run the ball, or to close out a game. You want to be able to run the ball to close out a game.
Yeah, you need.
We can't run the ball. Matt LaFleur runs the ball anyway, because
that's not true. We threw the ball a lot in the second half of that Bears game. That's a fake narrative. We threw the ball like more than 50% of the time.
But we ran on early downs.
Not even that much. Like, really, I don't think we even had that many called run plays. Problem is, we had no runs over 1 yard. Like we couldn't get more than a yard. And it's not the Bears D line is not that good.
But for the season, we run the ball a lot.
Yes.
And we are so much better at passing the ball than running the ball.
It's true.
And I think sometimes LaFleur coaches the team he wishes he had.
That's fair.
And not the team he has.
Yeah, that's
fair. If you're a good team, you need to be able to run the ball. No, we're going to run the ball.
Okay, I 100% agree with that. I think in the Bears game, that's not what happened, though.
Okay, I think season-wide.
Yeah, season-wide, I 100% agree. We tried to stick to the run for way too... Like, Jordan Love is your best player on offense. Just let him cook. Let him cook. Like, the passing game has been better than the running game. Just let him cook. And I hope they do that going into next year. So, do you want to talk about the Senior Bowl, or is there anything else from the Gutekunst presser you wanted to touch on?
I think that's it.
Yeah, I mean, he talked about Gannon a little bit. They haven't decided on 3-4 versus 4-3, but that was kind of just like, we'll see when we see.
That might be fluid.
Yes, exactly. Let's talk, though, about the Senior Bowl, because I think we each have 8 prospects each, 2 offensive linemen, 2 defensive linemen, 2 wide receivers or pass catchers. I guess we have tight ends in there as well.
2 pass catchers
and 2 defensive backs.
Covers. Because I saw, we ended up with defensive backs, but I looked at actually players in the short reps, like the red zone reps they do on day 3.
Mm-hmm.
They snuck in some running backs and linebackers into those.
Yeah. And the Senior Bowl, like we said, is really important, especially to the Packers. I mean, it was just back in 2024, I think, where 8 of the 11 players that we drafted were from the Senior Bowl. So it is a major part of the Packers scouting process. Just last year, the Packers.
And I think Gutekunst was there in person.
For this one? That one I missed.
I think that might be one of the reasons.
He did mention it was cold. He mentioned it was very cold in Mobile. So yeah, he would have been there. And they said, you're 100% right. Because now I remember they talked about how they changed the interview structure for the players at the Senior Bowl.
Oh, right, because they do 2 teams at a time.
Yes.
So they were interviewing with
Seattle.
Offensive
Schneider.
lineman?
I don't remember who the player was, but I remember that was reported. And it makes sense, Schneider and Gutekunst worked together for a while. But so I guess let's start talking about it. I guess we'll go offensive line first, because I think we both agree that's probably the biggest need on the team. You watched the American team. I watched the national team. We charted the 1v1s. Who did you like from the American team on the offensive line?
So I think my favorite was Markel Bell, offensive tackle for Miami.
Okay.
He's only played left tackle, basically. Maybe he had like 1 snap in his career or 2 snaps in his career somewhere else.
Okay. Consensus
189th by the NFL mock draft database.
So like a day 3 guy.
Yeah. 6'8" 3/4.
Big
358 pounds. He is a big man.
Who is the huge guy that the Packers had at tackle?
Caleb Jones?
Name? Caleb Jones, yes, from Indiana. The big guy. The guy that made
I forgot where he went.
Yeah, made even Kadeem Telford look small. He was like, that's how big he was. But there is something to be said.
Yeah, 6'9", 370 or something, or 390.
Like
something ridiculous.
the mountain. Like actually the mountain from Game of Thrones. But anyway, tell me more about Markel Bell.
Yeah, and he's got really long arms, 36 and 5/8 inch arms as well. So he's a big dude.
I was going to say, the threshold you need to hit is 33 inches. So he is like way bigger than that.
Or 34? 34 for a tackle?
33 for a tackle.
Packers will push it to 33.
Yeah, that's true.
But so he was elite or near elite in all the weight adjusted on field speed. So the Zebra technology tracker they use. So top speed, maximum acceleration, maximum deceleration.
Mm-hmm.
And for all offensive tackles over since 2018, for the Senior Bowls and Shrine Bowls where they've done this, which is like 150 some players, he's in the top like 10 percentile for weight adjusted movement.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even without weight adjusted, he's good in a couple of those.
So
his run blocking grade for PFF is 63, but his pass blocking is 83.8.
Mm-hmm.
And I had him winning gave him 7 wins out of 8 reps.
Not bad.
Oh, and I should mention that the baseline here, for me, offensive line versus defensive line was basically 50-50. Like I was like 61 to 58. And I looked at yours, also 50-50. So
okay. So yeah,
so the baseline is about
I gave some half wins as well, where it's like if they won late in the down, I was like, okay, like I'll give a half.
I called
win
a couple reps ties, like okay, they each did something good, or they just neither one did it. They each screwed up.
There was one where I was like the guy got beat really quick, and then the defender fell down. I was like, I don't feel like I can give either of these guys a win for this. I'm gonna give them both zeros.
I had one of those. Yeah, they both right. I guess that's a tie because they both screwed up.
Well, I had that in the wide receiver DBs too. The wide receiver made like a great move, and the DB just bit terribly, and then the wide receiver had the ball hit him both hands and drops it, and I was like, I can't give him a win for that. Like I don't know what to do with this.
But you have to. So I have some of those half-times. I have a couple 3/4 to a quarter.
Okay.
I had a couple as like
in detail
offense ?
Yeah.
So I decided to go 3/4 for that one. Defense ? I had a couple of those.
Well, so you have a tackle in Markel Bell. I'll talk about mine, and then I want to ask you a question about that. So I have the player that actually really stood out to me, I think, the most of even any position, was Demetrius Crownover, offensive tackle from Texas A&M. He is almost 6'7". He's 6'6", 7/8 inches, 330 pounds. And he's got, I think, 35.5-inch arms, or 35 and 5/8. So almost 30, a little bit more than 35.5-inch arms. So he is really a true tackle. He is consensus 122nd on the big board. So like kind of borderline day 2, day 3 guy. To me, what really stood out with him is how big he was and how smooth he moved. It felt like he was never getting sped up by the pass rushers he was going against. He was just kind of really like erasing them the whole time. It felt like they never had a chance like against him. He did lose 1 rep. So he took reps at left tackle and right tackle. He won, to me, 5 of his 6 reps he won, and he won all of them at left tackle and lost 1 at right tackle. PFF had him with a really strong 2024 and 2023, and then kind of fell off a little bit this past year in 2025, which we know the Packers they don't mind having that as a bit of like an edge they can take, where they have a guy who maybe had a like below average last year. He's above average in raw speed in terms of so they have we've already talked about this a bunch of times, but they have the on-field zebra tracking for the speed stuff at the Senior Bowl. So they have like chips in the shoulder pads, I think. But he was above average in raw speed and all weight adjusted speed, acceleration and deceleration. But my question to you, Dad, is do you see the Packers, because I think for both Crownover and Bell, really probably only tackles. Do you see the Packers taking a guy who's just a tackle?
I think they will somewhere in the draft.
Okay.
I think they will take somebody who they see as an interior offensive lineman, could be a tackle in college, and I think they'll just keep churning tackle depth.
Tackle rounds, because they do need more tackle depth. But I think you would say we have our tackles right now. Like
we don't have a swing tackle.
That's true. That is true. Well, you can argue Belton might be a swing tackle type.
But he's just starting. He's just starting guard.
Yeah, but if you had a backup guard and one of your tackles went down, like you could still move guys around.
You don't want as many moving parts.
That's fair.
You want another. It depends how much you trust Glover. They were putting him at guard last.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen Glover like. We need to see what he looks like post injury, and even pre injury. Honestly, he wasn't playing fantastic. So, and
Williams is probably a guard in the NFL,
and we have just no idea if he's any good at all.
He had 3 weeks of practice his rookie year.
exactly. And I mean, Jacob Monk's probably only a center. Like he's probably not a guard. Yeah,
he's too small, I think, to play anywhere else.
Yeah, that's a weird pick in hindsight. Like to me, unless he's your starting center this year. He had
he had a fantastic game against the Vikings. Really good.
Yeah. I guess we'll see.
His season long grade is so much better than Ryan's.
It's because he had that one game. Like with all
he didn't play much outside of it. And I think he had a decent. Did he come in some against the Bears? I can't remember.
I can't remember. But I'm interested in seeing him compete in the offseason, but I think he's an unknown too. But so you still think they would take a tackle even if they're a tackle?
I think so.
Okay.
I think you need to.
That's fair.
At this point, you feel kind of good about Morgan, but he's still rather unproven.
Yes, and he's only really played tackle. I mean, he was pretty decent tackle at the end of the year when he's filling in for Tom, and then Tom, there's a chance. Like they say, they're optimistic about him coming back, being ready for 2026, but that's not a guarantee either. So that's a fair point.
No, you might want some tackle depth for those first
handful of weeks
of the season or something.
Yeah, you don't know, and hopefully Tom is able to get back to 100% himself. But you never know with that stuff. So it would be good to get some tackle depth. Who's the next player that you had along the offensive line?
So this one I ended up going with another. I changed this up a little bit. I went with J.C. Davis, an offensive tackle from Illinois. Also only played left tackle. Consensus 138. He's 6'4", 334 with 34 3/4 inch arms. So he might be moving inside.
With that size, you could you could move him inside.
He has above average speed and deceleration by the Zebra Tech, and that's raw numbers, not weight adjusted. Weight adjusted, it's elite or well above average for stopping ability, fast acceleration, and top speed. And his run blocking by PFF was elite at 86.7, and his pass blocking was pretty good too at 77.4.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a guy who played tackle basically only, but he might
the body type to.
And I haven't read enough to see if people expect him to move inside.
And where was he in the consensus again?
138.
Okay, so like another day 2, day 3 guy.
So he's higher than Bell.
Yeah, so
I have actually a third guy who I had was my number 2 guy, and then I thought, well, maybe I'll change this a little bit.
That's fair. I was going to say, I do think they're going to be.
Who I could say is like an undersized center who is maybe interesting.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've seen with Morgan, they don't care if you didn't play any guard in college. Like if they think you're built like a guard, they think you can play some guard. So, and maybe they'll just keep trying over and over again. That brings me kind of to my next one, which is Jalen Farmer, who is a guard from Kentucky. He is very interesting to me as a late round guy. So he's 6'4" and 6/8 inches, so almost 6'5", 322 pounds. Consensus 261st, which I was surprised to see because I feel like people were talking about him. Like I think I can't remember exactly who it was, but people were like in the scouting community were talking about how he had a really good Senior Bowl. So I'd imagine that's going to go up. But he took reps not only at guard but also at right tackle. So it showed that NFL teams, like when players take reps at multiple spots at the Senior Bowl, it's because NFL teams want to see them at those spots. And so clearly NFL teams wanted to see what he looked like at tackle. I thought he looked pretty good at tackle. Only saw 4 reps of his, but he won 3 of them. I thought he had really good knee bend. And really good lateral movement for his size. From PFF, he had a 67.4 run blocking grade and a 72.4 pass blocking grade this past year at Kentucky. Elite speed and max acceleration and above average max deceleration per the Zebra Tech, and then same when weight adjusted. He's just a really interesting player to me, and I don't know why he's so low in the consensus board because it seems like he has some position flexibility. He's got pretty decent athleticism, it looks like, for his size. Obviously, we'll see, based on the on-field testing, but based on the testing, the on-field measurements are good for his athleticism rather. And I just think that he is like a classic, guard tackle Packers type pick, especially because we need some, guys with some flexibility there. He's a really interesting player to me.
Yeah. So this sounds like a good profile. And a good size. And I'm surprised he's going to be. I mean, I hope he's available that late. Packers have done a decent job of finding late offensive linemen. And
yeah, sometimes.
Well, they're not all going to hit.
That's fair. Yeah,
but they do get some winners there, and sometimes they're guys that I've thought would go like higher. Like,
well, it's funny because I think the latest is the latest example of a Packers late round offensive line win. Like, is it Cole Van Lanen? Is that the most recent one, or was Rasheed Walker more recent?
Rasheed Walker and Zach Tom.
Was that more? Was that after Van Lanen?
I think so.
Okay, fair enough then. Because I was like, dang, it's crazy that Van Lanen's just really good now. Because I felt like when he was on the Packers, I was like, he's not that good. Like, that's tough. Like, I wanted him to be good because he was a Badger and he's from Wisconsin, but I was like, he's just not that good. Then he goes to the Jaguars, is like gets the crazy extension, like plays fantastic for them.
Whatever,
like, okay.
over $50 million,
and more power to him. But like, I was like, dang, I wish that worked out for us.
Right?
Yeah.
Can we swap Walker for Van Lanen now?
I mean, and Walker's been really good for us, so I can't even say anything.
This past year was not that great though.
No, but I mean.
But he did way. I mean,
way outperform. If you take a 7th round tackle and you start for 3 years, like play like even average starting like football, like that's pretty good.
And they got Tom as a 4th rounder.
You got Dobbs in that draft. You got Watson in that draft.
That was a crazy draft.
And Nagbari in that draft. Like that was a very good draft. All right, I guess we'll move on to defensive line. Who do you want to talk about first?
But one thing you're talking about is like where they play them in the reps. I think that Bell was basically only playing outside. A lot of his reps he was just steering the guy behind the
same with Crownover was also only at tackle, but he played left and right.
Now, Bell did lose one rep, and that one rep that he lost was rather spectacular, where he got really knocked on his ass.
Damn. Well, it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, I think he got his feet tangled or something. But yeah, he just went straight down, and that was by Derek Moore. Just
okay.
Well, and then I looked at Davis. It looked like he was going up. I didn't keep track of where they were lining up, in the snap and things. But he went against both edge rushers and interior defensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
So they were probably moving trying him out as both guard and a tackle.
Well, speaking of defensive linemen, which defensive lineman did you have?
So my first was Rayshon Benny from Michigan. He's a guy I was often picking in my mock drafts as my second D tackle in this draft. It's like 6th rounder. He might not last. He's probably not going to last that long anymore.
Yeah.
He won. I had him as 6.5 wins out of 7 reps.
Mm-hmm.
The consensus is 167 now in the NFL mock draft database. 6'3", 296 pounds, so a little undersized, 33-inch arms. He has the 4th best on-field deceleration all time for a defensive tackle in the Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl combined. 156 players. His speed is above average, and his max deceleration that one is below average. So stopping and changing direction is better than his burst. Mm-hmm. The way these things are measured, I always feel like these on-field measurements mean more at the top than at the bottom, because they're measuring what you do during the play. So you could be like always like in the wash or somewhere where you can never get out to running full speed. But that said, he has done some good things, and even though he's like a little under 300 pounds, his run defensive grade is really good, 83.5. It's like near elite.
Yeah, and he was in Michigan, right? Where he ended up?
Yes.
Where he went to college, Michigan?
So his run D grade is really good. His pass rush grade is not as good, though. I've had him winning his reps here.
Yeah. I mean, and so Big Ten, playing against good competition as well. So not just going against scrubs. And I also have a Big Ten defensive tackle who is also undersized. So we're kind of, same idea here. I had Zane Durant. I thought he looked really good. Defensive tackle out of Penn State. Smaller. He's a touch under 6'1". He's 6 foot and 7/8 inches and 290 pounds. Consensus 136th on the consensus big board. I just thought he really showed good burst and could be a nice like rotational interior pass rusher for a late pick. I had him with 4 wins and 2 half wins, I think in 7 reps. He was better in run defense the previous 2 years per PFF, but not quite as good this past year, but he's at least shown that he could play some decent run defense despite being undersized. Above average speed and deceleration, elite max acceleration, and weight adjusted max acceleration. And that really, like, you could see when you watched him, really got off the ball very quickly. And the interior offensive lineman on the national team struggled to contain him because he was getting up on them so quickly. So I was impressed with him. I think he could be a nice rotational pass rush type interior defensive lineman, like day 3 guy. I think he'd be an interesting, piece there.
Yeah, he's another guy I've been picking up sometimes as my second D tackle. With Hunter probably not anymore, but first one now is probably like the Big Citrus or the Godfather
Corleone,
or Got to think of who else has some cool nicknames.
You have to have a cool name. That's the key. Anyway, who you got next?
So next is Tim Keenan the third.
The third.
So interior defensive lineman. So I went D tackle from Alabama. He had 6.5 wins in 10 reps, which ended up being like the second best for the D tackles. So I instead of going with an edge rusher, I had some a little higher. I went with I thought was more critical. Because I should just mention the edge rusher who I like the best in the American team was Zion Young.
Yeah, he's
looked really good.
I have one also that my next guy
he's not
my next guy's not going to make it either. I just wanted to shout him out because I thought he looked really good out there. But anyway, continue.
But Keenan made some plays as well. He is consensus 119th, 6'3" and 8, 332 pounds. So he's a bigger body.
Yeah,
shorter arms, 31-inch arms. So he's not living on the edge.
Nope,
he's in the phone booth. And his speed on the field did not show up that great. Above average for weight adjusted acceleration, but every other metric was below average.
And we should mention he's from Alabama. I don't think we got a chance to mention that, but yeah, continue. Sorry.
And his run defense grade was a decent over 71, and his pass rush grade is just barely over
so more of a
62.9.
I mean, you could argue we need a bit of a run stuffing, bigger guy.
We need one of those.
Yeah,
we need more than one defensive tackle who can rush the passer, because this past year we basically only had one, and then he was out for the second half.
And you could feel his absence when Wyatt was out. That you felt it. My last guy along the defensive line is a guy who's not going to be there, but I just wanted to shout him out because in case he fell, it'd be very interesting. Because you never know. At this stage, a guy could bomb the athletic testing and fall, and so maybe he will be available. But T.J. Parker, edge from Clemson.
Send him a bong.
the whatchamacallit,
who was that with the offensive lineman?
It was Laramie Tunsil, on draft day. But T.J. Parker, edge from Clemson.
Was it on draft day?
6'3". It was on draft day. Well, the video came out on draft day. Someone sabotaged him essentially, which really sucks.
Probably a team who wanted to pick him late.
It's entirely possible.
Who else had something to gain?
I think it was someone who had beef with him,
I suppose that could be.
It was a personal petty thing.
Personal beef with him.
Yeah. But anyway, T.J. Parker, edge from Clemson, 6'3" and 5/8, 263 pounds. So pretty big guy. And he's for an edge rusher especially.
And the kind that the Packers like.
Consensus 26th on the board, so probably not going to make it to where the Packers are picking. But I just thought a really good combination of size and strength and decent quickness for how big he is. 3.5 wins on 4 reps. So even the one he didn't necessarily win, he won late in the down. Really strong. What was it? People have been comping him to Jared Verse, where it's just very a lot of strength.
Well,
that's the style. That's the style of play he plays with. PFF grades above 70 in pass rush, run D, and coverage, although he doesn't do much coverage. Above average on-field speed and acceleration, and below average max deceleration. I just thought he played with really good, just strength. I felt play strength was really impressive from him. And you can see it when you watch him at Clemson too, really good at setting the edge in the run game, really good at just kind of bullying those tackles and kind of not letting them kick him out. But so I was impressed with him. Not that he's probably not going to be available, but I thought he had a really nice, set of days at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So we can hope somebody always falls. So
it's true.
Of course, it's hard to predict those ahead of time,
especially in February. Never say never.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That's the thing. When I start doing my mock drafts, the available players I start looking him up. It's why is this guy available now? Well, I'm going to grab him every time. And then as it gets on, it's I'm not even going to bother to pick this guy.
Yeah, because he's not going to be there.
It's just a pointless exercise.
Yeah.
He's never going to be there.
We are getting a little long, so let's try and speed through these pass catchers and defensive backs.
I just want to say one thing about Benny. He was winning with speed, with bull rushes, with hand fighting.
Just
looks
all
like
around.
He's got a lot going for him. Yeah, when I looked at the individual reps they had him winning, lots of different ways.
Yeah, and I will say about Durant, he's slightly undersized, but the 290 at 6 foot, he's still pretty dense. So it's it doesn't feel like he's underweight. Is I guess how I put it. All right, pass catchers. Maybe just give yours 2 back to back since we're getting a little long on time.
Okay, so my first one is a tight end. I guess it's Kazmarek.
Okay.
I guess it's a soft C there from Ohio State. Not a high volume pass catcher. He had 9 catches on 10 targets last year for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Mm.
And but he also had an over 70 grade in both run and pass blocking. He had 4 wins in 4 reps. A little bit lumbering, but you can see he's a big dude and he's winning in the red zone, get in front of guys, block them out, and also making some moves. His rank is 386th. I looked up afterwards, like, oh, I like this guy. I was like, ooh, 386.
Might be an
We'll get him late.
Yeah.
6'5", 262.
That's a big guy. I mean, we need kind of a bigger tight end, honestly. We don't really have that on the roster.
Yeah, and in terms of like on-field, like speed and acceleration, weight adjusted, he's elite for a tight end. So
not bad.
He's getting that mass moving.
Yeah, I mean, and we could use some more tight ends because I think, me personally, I'm kind of done with the Musgrave. Like, he's fine, but I just don't think he's an every down player. And losing Fitzpatrick really hurt, and I think we just need some more, bodies at that tight end spot. Who was the next player you had?
So I'm going like on a completely different look here. Cyrus Allen, wide receiver for Cincinnati, 5'11", 180 pounds.
Woo, small. I'm going to tell you right now that we're not picking him. Probably.
I know.
Probably not.
But he won. I had him for 6.5 wins and 7 reps.
Okay.
Above average in max acceleration, speed, and max deceleration. But if you weight adjust it, then he goes below average.
And to be fair, these one-on-ones are like the small, shifty guys. This is like what they are built to do.
Right. And so I mentioned before that the O-line, D-line reps, they'll go even 50-50 for the win. It's 2-1.
Yeah.
Wide receivers win 2/3 of the time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Wide receivers win, coverage. Like it's tilted towards wide receivers, but it's also tilted towards the smaller receivers, the semaller, shiftier, quick guys, because there's so much space for them to work with. Because it's just one. Yes. Like there's nothing else out there. There's no help. Yeah.
And last year he had 652 yards receiving on 47 catches, and he had 11 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, my 2 for the pass catchers. I'll start with, I think it's Nate Borkircher is how you pronounce it, the tight end from Texas A&M. Almost 6'5". He's 6'4" and 7/8, 247 pounds, consensus 227th on the big board, so late round pick. I just thought for his size, he was like a pretty good mover. Not like an explosive or fast mover, but just really smooth. Like very good body control. I had him on 2.5 wins on his 3 reps. During, his time at Texas A&M, caught 19 of 22 targets for 198 yards and 3 touchdowns I believe this was past year. But
yes,
either way,
that's just 1 year.
Yeah, not a lot of production in the passing game, but just kind of, I thought decent flyer, below average top speed, above average max acceleration, and elite max deceleration. Just like a smooth mover, not super explosive. But I thought he was like an interesting prospect at tight end that I thought, looked actually pretty good in the one-on-ones. And those one-on-ones are not usually like things that tight ends do well in. So like they did a pretty good job. And then the other pass catcher I had was Reggie Virgil, wide receiver from Texas Tech, 6'2" and 3/8 inches, 188 pounds, might be a bit small. But I thought he played a lot bigger than that. He's consensus 155th, won 5.5 of his 7 reps. During his last year at Texas Tech, 47 catches for 590 yards and 6 touchdowns on 78 targets. Elite on-field speed and max acceleration and above average max deceleration. Just above average if you weight adjust it. But I thought he had a couple of nice ones where he plucked it off the DB's head. He played bigger than I thought his size indicated. I just thought he had a nice all-around time. And to be honest, I didn't think a lot of the pass catchers really blew me away. I think there have been other years where the pass catching group was better. I also did think that the quarterbacks throwing to them did not do them any favors. There were some really bad throws. There were some he's got there was one was tight end's got his hand up, passed the DB by 3 feet, and then the ball hit the DB and is back. And I was like, man, come on. Are we not getting this over?
I would have had a different QB for the
well, and the weather was bad. Well, yeah, because usually the American quarterbacks throw to the American players.
So because I only had a couple of those. It wasn't that common for you just totally missed.
Yeah, there was a lot of
because there were a couple I'm watching. I gave it a tie because it's tight coverage the whole way.
Yeah, and then the guy just makes
the ball
a great play on it.
Is perfectly thrown, and the
I wasn't giving those a tie. I was giving the receiver the full point for the win because hey, you made a great play. But I was giving the DB a half a point for hey, you were there. But anyway, sometimes the sum of the play is not one for me. But anyway,
I didn't do that much work to do.
Fair enough
for that.
All right, so yeah, those are the 2 pass catchers. I think, in my opinion, we need tight ends more than we need receivers. But I guess we'll see.
Absolutely, which is why I picked one of the tight ends, and I think you notice we both ended up with somebody kind of late.
Bigger.
That's what I think is where they'll try to
round
get
bigger
somebody who can, because they're not looking for a starter. They're looking for somebody who can take some reps,
complementary,
do some blocking, be complementary, be able to do a little bit of everything.
I mean, you see in like
have sure hands.
You see in the NFC. I mean, the Rams run a bunch of like multi-tight end sets.
They had a bunch of 3 tight end sets this
year. The Seahawks run a bunch of those, and like you just need another like tight end body who's can play above average football, and really just draft elite athletes at the position. If either of these guys don't test like above average or like really good to very good, if they don't test that, just don't bother. That's my opinion. But anyway, who are the DBs that you liked?
So the first one I have is Malik Muhammad, a cornerback from Texas. So he only won 3.5 wins out of 6 reps, but the baseline is
2 to 1.
2.
Yeah.
So it's actually one of the better finishes I had for the defensive backs. His consensus rank is 75th. He's 5'11" and 7/8 and 183 pounds when he was measured at the Senior Bowl, which is a little bit smaller in weight, but he might be heavier by the time they get.
Yeah,
but it's pretty close. Below average top speed. It's a little bit below. So his speeds are all a little bit below average. 69.8 PFF coverage grade, 13.9% missed tackle rate. So kind of so-so, not terrible. Kind of middle of the pack. I think the people who are really good are like below 10. So that's who I had for my first. Do you want to?
What's your next one? Just go
do these back to back like the pass catchers. Ephesians Prysock, and it's not just because of the name. It's an awesome name.
Great name.
This is a great name. Corner from Washington, and before that he was on. I can't remember. I think he might have been. I can't remember if he was only Washington, but I had him for 4.25 wins in 8 reps. Like I told you, I got down to corners. His consensus rank is 209th. So late, kind of a late day 3 guy who might have some good traits. He's 6'2" and 7/8, 194 pounds. So he's pretty big, maybe a little lean at that height, but pretty big corner. Elite, both raw and weight adjusted acceleration and deceleration. Below average top raw speed. But so could be a guy like can get started.
He's a bigger corner. It'd be a body type that we don't really have.
Right. His coverage grade was 75.8 from PFF. Pretty good. And only a 10.7% missed tackle rate, which is pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad. I think
we do want tackles who corner.
Corners
who tackle.
Yes.
But we also want tackles who corner.
Yeah, they need to be able to
do
move.
that short shuttle.
Whatchamacallit? In terms of defensive backs that I had, because I don't really. I know that I am Mr. Like, hey, I don't really care about corner that much, but we do need at least a body or two. When you say you don't want to
invest, there's a level of investment. It's like, okay, you don't want to pay top dollar, but you need to get.
We need to get some at least some better corner depth also, because like having Bo Melton as your corner 3 is not ideal.
Except he never played.
Yeah,
they brought in practice squad players ahead of him.
The 2 defensive backs I had, so one of them is a safety, which I don't think we need, but I just was impressed by him, and that's Deshaun Singleton out of Nebraska. 6'2.5", 212 pounds, consensus 225. I just thought he looked really good in 1v1s for a safety. He won 3 of his 5 reps. Elite pass rush in terms of PFF grade, great tackling, decent run defense and coverage grades. Below average on-field top speed, but above average acceleration and deceleration. So I just thought he moved really well for his size, covered really well in space for a safety, which is usually not the case. So I was impressed by him, and he looks big out there too. 6'2.5", 212 is pretty big for a safety. And then the other guy I had was Thaddeus Dixon, a corner out of North Carolina. 6'1.5", 194 pounds. So a little shorter, but pretty well built for a corner. To be just a touch over 6 foot and almost 200 pounds. Consensus 261, won 3.5 of his 6 reps by my count. He did get really, really dusted one time, really bit hard on an underneath route and got just beat over the top very quickly. So that was not ideal. But other than that, I thought he looked good. Better PFF grades in 2024 than 2025. 2025 was a poor tackler and just above average in all the categories, but 2024 for Washington was good to great in both run D and coverage. Pass rush, whatever, he wasn't great in, but I don't really care about that much for a corner. Below average top speed and deceleration, above average max deceleration for a corner. So maybe not the best athlete, but a late round guy I think would be an interesting flyer at the corner spot to give us some depth.
Yeah, I've seen him, depending on where I do my mock drafts, all over the place in his rank.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they have him in the 3rd round. Sometimes he's in the 7th round.
Yeah, consensus 261
Whereas
did feel low
the
to
consensus seems to be,
all over the map. Yeah.
Yeah.
High variance consensus. Mean is the mean is not as telling. But anyway, so that was my last player. And that kind of does it for the prospects that really stood out to us. Anything you wanted to say as we close up here, the players that we were taking a look at the Senior Bowl?
So I think there's a general consensus. I can't remember where I heard this, that the offensive line group wasn't
as good.
So good.
I thought that
this year
they were pretty good. I thought they were decent.
I think the win rate was a little lower than last year's splits.
I also think that last year was a kind of a special group in terms of the offensive line at the Senior Bowl. I mean, you had multiple
so maybe
guys
that was
who
the
were
outlier rather than this year.
I don't know. That's just my opinion, because you had the guy from Oregon, Connerly, who ended up going in the 1st round. You had Belton, who ended up going in the 2nd round. You had Trapilo, I think, was at the Senior Bowl, if I remember correctly. He went in the 2nd round. Ariante Ursary, I believe, was at the Senior Bowl. He went in the second. Like, I just think maybe it's a bit colored from last year. I think last year's O-line group was just like really good at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, so it could be what's coloring the perception. Yeah, so I also I had another possible UNFA, a little undersized center, but he did really well keeping in between.
Do we need 2 undersized centers? I don't know.
He's 296 pounds.
Well, that's kind of how I felt about this other guy, Keelan Rutledge. Every time they put him. Oh, shoot. No, it wasn't Keelan Rutledge. It was Keelan Rutledge. Every time they put him not at center, I was like, oh, I don't know about this. And then they put him at center. I was like, oh, he's pretty good at center. Like he's standing guys up. So maybe a center only guy to keep an eye on, because general consensus seems to be that the center class is not very good this year.
Yeah. So the guy, Brock Meyer for center from Miami. So he's playing on the same line as Bell.
Mm-hmm.
Pass blocking elite 83. Run blocking, not surprisingly, less 68, because he's only 297 pounds.
He'll fit right in.
32-inch arms.
He'll fit right in. He'll be perfect. Still won't be able to run block.
You always stay in the way of the pass rusher. So I'm just throwing his name out there.
Some more names.
Guy to keep an eye on for a 7th rounder, or maybe even UNFA. His consensus rank is 286.
And we'll have plenty of time to talk about a lot more prospects going forward as we get through, visits and the combine, et cetera, et cetera. But so we'll be talking about all these guys, I'm sure, a lot more as we get closer and closer to the draft. So keep that dial tuned here, because we will be here every single week for the rest of the offseason. I think next week we're going to talk about biggest team needs for the Packers and what our opinions are on that. We've already kind of previewed it a little bit, but we'll go a little bit more in depth on that. Anyway, thank you again for listening. If you like what you heard, leave a review, leave a comment, tell a friend, follow us on, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all of the above. Leave a comment. Follow us on Blue Sky at Father Son Packer for updates on Packers news, new episodes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you again for listening. We will be back next week, hopefully a little bit earlier in the week, although scheduling stuff's a little bit up in the air. But anyway, thank you again for listening. And until next time, go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.